He'd strapped on and correctly hooked up his fall protection gear hundreds of times before, but this time it was late. He was tired and in a hurry. It's a very common but potentially fatal mistake because team members always believe it'll never happen to me. But this time it's a shortcut that leads to a long fall that cost him his life. The safety numbers clearly back up the danger of taking silly, unnecessary chances. Nationwide, nearly 800 workers are killed and thousands are seriously hurt in falls every year. You're working in a job where a fall, more than any other accident, will get you killed or badly hurt. According to the National Safety Council, falls are the leading cause of death in the drilling industry. The leading cause of death in the kind of work you're doing every day. And it almost always happens because team members take shortcuts and do not follow proper fall protection procedures. Your primary lesson is that height should be respected but not feared. You're about to learn several basic fall protection procedures that, if followed step by step, will greatly increase your chances of working safely at heights. Those steps begin with a complete and thorough visual inspection of your fall protection gear. You should always check it for damage before you get hooked up. You'll also learn about the 4 levels of fall protection, why it is so important to properly hook up and anchor yourself safely for different jobs on your rig. We'll also show you how rotating and traveling equipment can interfere with your fall protection equipment, putting you at risk. And finally, how to keep your equipment clean, properly stored, and in good working order. We'll begin with step 1, visual inspection. Cut or torn nylon, rusty or damaged snap hooks, D-rings, or carabiners should never be used under any circumstances. If you find damaged equipment, turn it in to your rig manager immediately. Be certain to check your harnesses and that all your fall protection gear is in good shape before you get off the ground. Now that you know you're working with safe gear, step 2 is learning the 4 levels of fall protection. They are elimination, fall restraint, fall arrest, and rescue plan. Elimination, put simply, means don't climb to get a job done unless it's absolutely necessary. Many times you can eliminate a height hazard by working smarter. For example, if the derrick needs minor maintenance, wait until you've rigged down to get the job done safely on the ground. Next is fall restraint. Just remember to think about the 6-foot rule here because you're required to use fall protection equipment every time you're working 6 feet or more above the ground or other unprotected work surface. You will be anchored and hooked to a device that has enough slack to let you work safely without getting too close to the edge of a structure. Fall arrest protection is used to safeguard you from the impact forces generated from a fall. Fall arrest gear will be provided by Grey Wolf and will consist of a harness and lanyard, or self-retractable lifeline, or SRL. An SRL is specially engineered to help absorb the shock of a fall. And proper fall arrest procedure means you must also have and be ready to implement a rescue plan. Your first option, whenever possible, is self-rescue. This involves throwing your team member a rope and having him pull himself to safety. But you also need the phone number of a high-angle rescue team in case the victim is injured or too far off the ground to reach. Okay, so far you've learned you must closely inspect your fall protection gear for damage or defects before starting your climb. You've also learned the 4 levels of fall protection: elimination, fall restraint, fall arrest, and to always have and to be ready to implement a rescue plan. That brings us safely to step 3, which may be the most important step of your fall protection training: proper hookup to climb a ladder or the derrick, strapping in correctly in the boatswain chair, and safely anchoring yourself to a structure. Make no mistake, proper hookup is so important it may mean the difference between a job well done and tragedy.
Before you don your harness, always make sure you do a good visual inspection. You want to inspect your threads, all your webbing on here, all your plastics, making sure everything's in good shape. No tears, no burns, no damaged eyelets. Everything looks good. While you're donning your harness, always be sure to do a buddy system. Always help your buddy get that thing on. While he's putting this on, you want to make sure that there's no twisted straps, making sure everything's in proper order. You want to make sure that your D-ring area, your dorsal D-ring's right in between the two shoulder blades right across, because when you take a fall, this thing here will come up. When you're hooking up your leg straps, make sure that you've got this strap right here. That is the seat for your harness. You want to make sure that it's snug enough to where that it's up in the growing area, that if you do take a fall, that it's not coming up and hurting you in any way. Make sure that all your straps are not hanging. You want to be sure and adjust all this to where that they're secure, to where they keep it out of rotating machinery. When you're doing the buddy system, you want to do a 4-point check right here. You want to take your 4 fingers, run them down through your leg straps, making sure that they are snug. Can you get them down in there? You see, that's good and snug. You don't want them too loose and hanging down here, so that's good. And then you want to look on the side right here, and you want to see a good V shape in this leg strap. Also, when you turn around, you want to make sure that this seat right here, that's what he's going to be sitting on after he takes a fall. This is going to be up. Looks good and snug here. Also, your dorsal D-ring area is right in between the shoulder blades. So then we're going to make a fit test, and what you do, you pick it up and out to see if it'll come off of his shoulders, which it won't. So this harness right here is a good fit for him in case he does take an accidental fall. Now that we've got him in his harness, securely fit, now we're going to go to the LadSafe system, get him hooked up into this properly before he goes up into the derrick. First thing we're going to do is make sure you have the small D-ring, 7 to 9 inches between here and the employee. Also, you need to use the buddy system while hooking him up to where he knows he's hooking up properly. Now we're going to hook him into the climbing assist. This will assist him in going up the derrick, takes a lot of weight off of him. Makes it easier for him. He can be hands-free, have all 4 points on the ladder at all times. Now he's hooked up, safe to go, properly climbing, properly hooked up, have no problems, safety first. Now that he's reached the board, he's going to hook off his climb assist. He's still connected to his LadSafe system. Always want to make sure that you're always connected off, 100% tie off. He pulls down his solid block, which is an engineered anchor point for him. He's now hooking it up to his D-ring. Now he's hooked up 100% tie off to his secondary fall. Disconnected now from his LadSafe system. Then as soon as he disconnects from there, he'll go around and get into his derrick belt, which is his fall restraint. And that is his secondary fall device. At no time do we want anyone that's not connected to their secondary fall device. Again, first thing you need to do is your good visual inspection, making sure all of your seams, threads and everything are in good shape, making sure all of your webbing is in good shape, make sure all your D-rings, all of the metal on here is in good shape, make sure your board seat's not splintered or cracked, leg straps are in good shape. Impact indicators are good. Then go ahead and don the harness on. Again, always use the buddy system. Checking to make sure that no straps are twisted, crossed. Making sure for good fit. The harness is in good shape. All the straps are straight. D-rings right there in the middle. Everything looks good here. Leg straps are good and snug. Got the good V shape going right here in his legs. Good seat. Any time before you go above head and you're carrying a piece of equipment, always use a tool tethering right there to keep this thing from becoming a dropped object. Next, we'll put the SRL on him, the solid block. This will be a secondary fall device. Again, using the buddy system, making sure that he's properly hooked up. He pulls down his solid block, which is an engineered anchor point for him. He needs to be hooking up to this. This is part of the fall protection procedures, being tied off 100%. Notice he's hooking into it now through his dorsal D-ring. Next step is he will disconnect his lad safe system. He's checking his solid block now to making sure that it will lock, part of the visual inspection. And he's disconnecting now from his lad safe. All fall protection, you always need to be hooked into an engineered anchor point, because an engineer has signed off saying that it will withstand a 5,000-pound impact.
But even after correctly performing all the fall protection procedures you've just learned, understand you still face many different hazards from the equipment. Only the person who put the lock and tag on can remove that lock and tag. No exceptions. That brings us to step 5, which is how to clean and properly store your equipment to keep it in good working order. All nylon fall protection gear must only be washed with a mild detergent in warm water, either by hand or in a washing machine. Never use a power washer to clean or an electric dryer to dry your nylon fall protection gear. After you've cleaned and checked your equipment for damage, simply hang it out to dry before storing it in a cool, dark place, away from direct sunlight and fluorescent lighting. We'll wrap things up by reminding you heights must always be respected, so stay alert, never cut corners, take chances, or assume you won't suffer a fall from height, or be injured by rotating or traveling equipment snagging your fall protection gear. Following the 5 steps you've just learned: visual inspection of equipment, knowing the 4 levels of fall protection, proper hookup for each job, rig floor lockout tagout, and correctly cleaning and storing your equipment, all greatly increase the chances of you and your rig team working safely around height hazards every day of your tower and returning home safely to your families.